Hey there, YouTube. This is Tanis Fugit here with episode 3 of this little mini-series that I'm doing here. Hololive 5th Fest is just about here, and I've been looking at all of the individual performance stages and taking a look at each member that will be on those stages and trying to guess what it is they might be doing this weekend based on what they've done in previous events and based on the music that they've put out so far. We're doing sort of two different things here with this project. First of all, I am making these predictions and having a little bit of fun along the way, but also I'm using this as an opportunity to look back at some of the members who I don't really get a chance to engage with a lot throughout the course of the year, seeing what it is that they have done, and using that as a jumping off point. So I think we should go ahead and get started. I'm going to be going in the order that the website lists all of the talent. This is not to say that this is the order that they're going to be performing in. In fact, almost certainly it is not. But it is the order that it is on the website, and so I figured that's the best way to go about it. So first up on that list, we have Roboco. Roboco, 2 years ago at Third Fest, performed Koto no Ha, and last year she performed Little Bit. Both of these are original songs of her own. She has not yet done a cover at one of these events, at least not over the last couple of years. That being said, taking a look at this last year, the only real song that sticks out that she's created is called Glory Days. I don't really feel like it's a fest type song, but she doesn't really have any other originals to speak of, and I don't consider it likely that she's going to do a cover, so I don't know. Glory Days seems like it's going to be the call here. It's a little bit of a weird start here, but yeah, I'm not really sure what to call for her. I really think that Glory Days is the call. It just doesn't feel like a fest song to me. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Fubuki is next up after Roboco, and 2 years ago she did Say Fanfare, which already 2 years ago was getting a little bit long in the tooth as far as live performances go. It was one of the only very, very, very few performances that happened at Third Fest where I was like, I kind of wish that she had decided to change it up a little bit. And that being said, between Third and Fourth Fest, she produced a lot of music, and at Fourth Fest, she did High Fine Fox. At this point, Fubuki has so many original songs out that there's lots and lots of possible choices here. I do think that Letter, the song that came out for her this year, will probably be her choice. I think that's a very good choice for her. But there are a number of possible songs like King World that I think could stand a chance at being chosen instead. But really, I think Letter is the choice here. Moving on from Fubuki, we have Aqua. Aqua 2 years ago performed Kaiso Resha, and last year did Mata Aoi, both originals of hers. Aqua is an original making machine and has a whole bunch of options, even since Fourth Fest, that she could go with, not to mention a whole bunch of songs previous to Fourth Fest that she could go with. So I don't know. I'm not really sure exactly where to go from this. So I do have a couple of options, though, and a couple of guesses. I think perhaps the most likely option for me is going to be her newest single, which is Girl Loved by AIM. This is her sort of love song to Apex Legends and to the RPG genre in general, and is pretty much in the vein of songs that she has performed previously. She also has a song called I Will Be Your Sayoshi, but I do think that is a Honeyworks original, and I think that might be performed at the Honeyworks stage. Full disclosure, I haven't really looked at the Honeyworks stage much, because I knew it wouldn't be relevant to this series. And so when I was doing my research and taking my notes, wasn't looking there. So I'm not sure if I Will Be Your Sayoshi is a song that's going to appear on the Honeyworks stage. I think it is, in which case, obviously, it's not going to show up here, and it will almost certainly be Girl Loved by AIM. I Wanna is another song. It's a little older, but it gets a lot of play by Aqua in karaoke's and in 3D lives and stuff like that. And so Iwana is also a good possible choice. Any of those three, I think we could see. Shion is the next one up. 2 years ago, she did Mage of Violet, and last year she did Chandelier. Her most recent original, Just Like Aqua, is a Honeyworks song, and I expect it will probably appear on that stage. Again, not having looked at that stage, I do know that the list is, I think, pretty much known, but I haven't really looked at it as part of doing research for this setup, so I'm not sure. But I do believe that original song is actually Honeyworks in origin, and so I think will actually show up on that stage, which means that she does not have any originals since Chandelier that would be relevant here. So I think most likely we're going to see a cover. It's going to be some high energy Vocaloid cover. Shion's going to kill it like she always does. I just really can't place it beyond saying, it'll probably be a cool Vocaloid cover from her. All right, on to Ayame. 2 years ago, Ayame did Yoi no Yo Yoi, and last year she did Kawayo. Kawayo is interesting. I'm pretty sure that Kawayo was a new release at Fest. I'm pretty sure that was actually a release on that evening, which is really quite cool. Something we've seen a couple of times, and I love it every time I see it. Several of my predictions for this event actually involve possibilities of new songs coming out. Would love to see something like that this year. That being said, over the course of the last year, as far as I can tell, Ayame hasn't really had a lot of original music come out. She's had some stuff with like the Ayafubu Mio group, and Fubuki is on the stage, but Mio is not. So I'm not really sure what we should expect from Ayame. I would say some kind of cover. She's done a lot of the most popular Vocaloid covers recently, but not many of them, some of them. So I don't know. Ayame's kind of up in the air. Be curious to see what you guys have to think about this one. Azuki is listed after Ayame, and 2 years ago she did my personal favorite Azuki song, Gamen no Naka no Kimi ga Suki. I know Inochi is sort of the canon favorite Azuki song for everybody, but I really love Gamen no Naka no Kimi ga Suki, and last year she did Afterglow. She released a song called End Roll this year, that I think, that was a single release that I think could very likely be the choice here. She did put out that EP with Sora that I mentioned in my first video in this series, which she could potentially take some songs from, maybe. I mean, those are all duet songs, obviously, but maybe she could set up one as a single for her own performance. She also has a very cute cat song, and she has her new GeoGuessr song, both of which I think could appear. They would be very unlikely. They would be very, very different kinds of performances from stuff she's done in the past. So while it is possible, I think it's unlikely. I think really what we're looking for here is End Roll. After Azuki, we keep up with the Gen Zero goodness with Sakura Miko. 2 years ago, having performed Kagetsu no Yume, and last year performed Sakura Kaze. Both wonderful, wonderful songs, great performances from her. She did just release a new original, which I think is quite likely for Fest, assuming that it was finished in time and that it was ready to go for the recording for Fest. That song was called Kyun Kyun Miko. She also has an EP that came out this year called Heart Connect that had a number of songs that she could possibly select from. But I do think that Kyun Kyun Miko, assuming that it is assuming that was ready to go in time, I think that's going to be the choice. Okayu came out 2 years ago and did Mogu Mogu Yummy, which was a performance that I had similar feelings to Fubuki's performance of, say, Fanfare on that same evening. The problem that I had was that at that point, those were basically the only acts that those two performers had. It was what they had done at previous events, what they had done at 3D Lives up to that point, and it was feeling quite long in the tooth. And so I felt the same way about Okayu's performance as I had about Fubuki's. Now, since then, Okayu has put out quite a number of covers, a vast array of music that she's released. And she did release an original in time for Fourth Fest last year called Kami-sama Neko-sama, which she performed, and it was an absolute acid trip of a performance, and it was awesome. That being said, in the year since then, she has put out a song called Neko Kaburin, whose MV release was somewhat recent and very popular, and it is the only single release that I can see since Kami-sama Neko-sama. So I think that has to be the choice for Okayu. I'm not sure that it's going to perfectly fit in with Fest. It'll be an interesting performance, one way or the other. Suisei, that's my Kami Oshi. 2 years ago, Suisei put out Stellar Stellar, and last year she performed Michizure. Suisei has been just insanely busy over the last several years. She does not stop, can't stop, won't stop. Not only has she put out her own original music, but of course she was involved with Midnight Grand Orchestra, which put out quite a bit of music this year. I don't see any of the MGO music actually coming up in Fest, but it is still worth mentioning and being in the conversation. Instead, she has two newer originals, two newer singles that have come out since Michizure, Zion and Soiree, both of which would make great performance pieces. I would love to see Soiree. I fell deeply, deeply in love with Soiree. Although Zion is more recent and maybe what she's trying to push, sort of the same way that she pushed Michizure last year. So either one of those, Zion or Soiree, are possible. I think Zion is more likely. I'm hoping for Soiree. So we'll see. Toa is listed up after Suisei. 2 years ago, having done Born to Be Real, and last year having done her wonderful single, Raime. Toa has put out just so much music, just so much, including an album this year. Making a selection for Toa has been somewhat challenging for me. I think one of the songs that she put out this year that I think would be awesome for her to perform is Antares, although that does not fit thematically or musically with her performances over the last 2 years, which were more of her sort of heavy metal style performances. But Antares is a good, deep, strong ballad. Problem is that it uses non-Hololive voices and even voices from Hollow Stars, which I think they probably won't want to put on stage. Sucks because it's a great song, but I think we're going to have to accept the fact that we probably won't see that. Anemone is another great ballad that I think would be well placed sort of later on in the evening, sort of maybe just before a big rising final finale. So Anemone, I think, is probably going to be my pick for this year. Again, doesn't fit with Born to Be Real or Raime, like as in like an artistic through line, but I think is a great choice based on what we've seen from her this year. Rami, we're moving into Fifth Fest now. Rami, 2 years ago, performed Asu e no Kyokaisen, which was her first original. And last year she put out Fleur. Fleur is a song that took me a little bit to get sort of warmed up to, but once I did, I fell in love with Fleur hard. Lami is awesome. Since then, Lami has actually very recently put out a song called Lami Love Fest, which is super cute and would fit very, very nicely in a fest, assuming that it was ready to go in time for recording and for, for planning purposes and everything like that. That is her third single, and I would expect it to be shown here and keeping her through line of her sort of one original a year being what she performs at fests. I would even wager a guess that this will show up very early in the show, possibly even as the show opener. And I think that would be a very fun way to open the show with Lami. Then we have La Place. We move right from Fifth Gen into Horrocks. La Place did not perform 2 years ago, as Horrocks was was not ready to perform at that time. And last year, for her Fest debut, she did her original song, Dark Breath, and killed it. Absolutely murdered the dancing for that. She was incredible. Watching her do those moves was a shock to the system. I did not expect that she could pull off the kind of things that she pulled off while performing Dark Breath last year. That being said, this year is a little weird because she hasn't really put out any single releases. So besides Dark Breath, the only most recent single that she's put out is a song called ING Hen, which came out back in 2022. And that's the most recent release. So I don't think we're going to see that this weekend. Instead, I think Laplace is going to put out another cover. It's going to be an interesting choice. Obviously, she came out of the gates with her cover of Kamipoi now, which sort of broke the internet. So I would expect something along those lines, maybe as a cover out of Laplace this year. Muna. So we finish up with Hololive JP, and we move into Hololive Indonesia with Muna. Muna 2 years ago had her Fest debut with High Tide and blew everyone's mind. She performed that, I believe she performed that right after or right before Risu sang Alice and You. And it was just a 1-2 punch of this incredible set of performances that shook the fandom to its core and got so many eyes on these wonderful performers over from Indonesia. And then last year, she flipped the script hard and did her first original, I No Chisana Uta, which not only was an older song than High Tide, but was a completely different kind of performance, with her going really, really ballady with I No Chisana Uta. So that means that she's not afraid to really flip the script and just pick whatever she feels like doing at the time, not really paying attention to the rules or the established through line that sort of her senpai are following. Muna this year put out an EP called Orbiture, which has a lot of really good songs in it. Specifically, Parasite G2 and Who's Toxic It's You were on Orbiture, and both would show incredibly at Fest. Who's Toxic It's You would create this tonal whiplash that I want to experience. I want this to happen. I don't even care what song comes before it, what song comes after it. It's going to be whiplash. It's going to be awesome. Parasite G2 is an incredibly powerful song. It's very personal to Muna. I think that song has a great chance of appearing. And in fact, I think that's the statistically more likely one. If you were making bets, that's what I'm betting on. But Who's Toxic It's You is the one that I'm personally gunning for. We move on then to Ali. Hololive Indonesia, second generation. Ali, second generation were not ready for Third Fest. They did not have 3D models for Third Fest, and so they made their debut in Fourth Fest last year. Ali performed Jolly Ali last year. Ali did put out a song called New Zombie. That's very similar to Aqua's song Girl Loved by AIM, in that it is a love letter to first-person shooters and specifically Apex Legends. But New Zombie came out quite a while ago. It actually came out before last year's Fest. But Ali has not done any originals since Jolly Ali or New Zombie. So that is obviously what I'm looking at. And it could work here. But for Ali, I'm actually kind of suspecting a cover. For Ali, I'm very much expecting that she's not going to go back to New Zombie. I very much expect that she's going to perform a cover song, and that it's going to be big, high energy. She did Curon Hey Kids as an official cover a few years back from the Oral Cigarettes, which was good. Incredible even. I remember last year she did a cover, I don't remember who with. Was it Callie? I don't remember who she did a cover. It was a duet piece. Because obviously last year for her individual performance, she did Jolly Ali. But she did this like fire, all fire and electric guitars kind of cover. That's what I would expect out of Ali here. Then we have Anya. Anya last year actually did a cover. She did a cover of a song called Cutlery, which is appropriate, being that she is a dagger. But that's because at the time she didn't really have any original songs, and so she kind of had to go with some kind of cover. In the intervening year, however, she has put out a couple of original songs. She had a song called Unreal Veil, and most recently, a song called Everlasting Knife. Both of them, I think, would be very good fits for Fess, although definitely in that sort of middle period. In that middle section of the evening, I think is where we're going to put something like this. And for Anya, I think my call is going to be Everlasting Knife. I think that's what I'm calling for, and I guess we will see. We now move into Hololive English for Ame. Ame is on this stage. 2 years ago, Ame was still kind of getting her feet under her as far as performances goes, and she performed a cover of a song called Puru Puru Pururin, which is a song that she had done several times before. She actually did that on her debut, and it was a song that it's a nice casual fallback for her. Since then, she's actually started pushing the boundaries out and has gotten much more confident as a performer. Last year, she actually had a whole original song called Chikutaku, which she performed and did very, very well at. I'm so proud of how far Ame has come over the years. This year, though, we don't actually have any original releases from Ame since Chikutaku. She has been doing a lot of singing, like in streams and stuff like that, direct karaoke streams, as well as like cool 3D, semi-3D event streams where she does some singing as well. So with Ame, I think it's going to be some kind of cover. Part of me wants to pin Ame as the sort of dark horse going to do a brand new song and shock everyone kind of moment for the evening. I don't know that that's going to happen. Seems unlikely. We'll probably see some kind of cover from her. As for what kind of cover, I think it's going to be something cute, something silly, fun. I think that's the Ame we're going to see. Then we have Fauna. Fauna, being a member of Hololive Promise, did not perform at 3rd Fest, but she did perform last year at 4th Fest, and she performed her original Let Me Stay Here, little bossa nova, little sweet lilting bossa nova song. She's not put out any music since Let Me Stay Here, and in fact, she hasn't even put out really any covers. She put out one cover of Cute Girlfriend, and that's all that we've seen. My main question for Fauna is, what's the over-under that we have on her having gotten perms for My Chemical Romance? Because that would be a thing, wouldn't it? Lacking that incredibly unlikely event, this one's entirely up in the air. I think her and Crony, in the last video I mentioned that Crony is a big question mark for me. Fauna's exactly the same way. Just a big old question mark. I got no idea what Fauna's going to do. Then we have Mume, also from Hololive Promise. Last year, she did a cover of My Dearest. So Mume does have an original song out. She's actually got 2 original songs out. One is her debut song, and then the other one is a song that came out this year called Mume. It's a self-titled song. I don't feel like Mume is a strong choice for Fess. It's definitely got good moments to it, and I think it could appear. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, though. I think Mume might surprise us with another cover. I would expect something with a lot of power and force behind it, because she's been really coming into her own as that kind of singer, and it would definitely contrast with her cover of My Dearest from last year. With Mume out of the way, that is all of the original individual performers that are going to be on this last stage. So I just have a couple of notes here about the stage in general for sort of group and duet pieces here. First of all, Fauna and Mume have been teasing a song together. Apparently, this is something that I've heard about. Apparently, Fauna and Mume have been playing around with the idea that they have a song that they want to put out together. That could potentially appear as a duet piece here at Fifth Fest. And then the other notes involve Aqua. Aqua and Shion are both together here, but so are Aqua and Okayu. Definitely some interesting possible dynamics there. Aqua and Shion are, of course, a long-standing friendship from the very early days of Hololive, and Aqua and Okayu. Aqua is so madly in love with Okayu that having them on the same stage and not interacting would be a crime. It would just be a crime. The last note that I have here is that Holo Purple, the Purple Gang, is almost completely represented here on the third stage, which would be awesome. Like, we get Aqua, Shion, Okayu, Laplace, Toa. There's a lot of opportunity for Purple Gang to show up, and I think that would be a lot of fun. And that's it. That's it. So that's all 3 stages done. I'm really, really hyped and excited for this. And I really hope that you guys are too. I will be streaming live the event, which is going to be a very awkward times for me. I am in the Eastern United States. So for me, the concert is going to start at midnight, and it is going to progress all the way to probably 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And it will do that 2 days running. But I will be there with bells on. So if you want to hang out with me, please feel free to do so at twitch.tv/TanisFugitVT. And if you just want to hang out with me anytime I stream, I generally stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard U.S. time. Hope you guys are having a great one out there. Really hope you're excited for Fest. Otsutanis. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.